Today we are with Kristin Tyler, the co-founder of LawClerk, which I think is quite an amazing service and one of the reasons we want to have them on for a webinar today. Kristin is not only the co-founder of LawClerk, she's also an attorney who practiced for nearly a decade in a very mid-sized firm, but what I would call a large firm in my opinion, and they were very successful, and they really just got tired of the day in, day out work and the time that they were putting in, and they really felt like there could be a completely different model that this could be built around. And that's how LawClerk, and Kristin will give you a little bit better background than that, but that's how LawClerk came about. And the services they provide, in my opinion, and our clients who use them, the AEA members who do use them, have had nothing but positive experiences. And I was telling Kristin before the webinar here that it's very rare that a lot of attorneys return referral calls, but every time I refer someone to another attorney who's used LawClerk, they always get a call back, which is amazing to me and really speaks to the quality of the work that they do. And so I want to thank Kristin for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. You're a mom. You're a co-founder of a growing, successful company. You're also an attorney. So thank you for taking the time out today.
My pleasure, Travis. Thank you so much for having me on today. And I appreciate the introduction. And I told Travis before we started, and I'll say it again here, I hope he'll chime in here if he has any input to add to the conversation today. But as Travis mentioned, I am the co-founder of LawClerk. I'm also a partner at Garmin Turner Gordon in Las Vegas. We're a 16 attorney firm, and my practice is focused on estate planning and probate. So just to give you some context of who I am, my background, and the fact that LawClerk was built by attorneys for attorneys. We are the three co-founders. We're all still practicing. We know the challenges you face between deadlines and clients and managing everything else. And we are very mindful of that in everything we do in the company we're building. So with that being said, for those of you who maybe have not heard of LawClerk yet, the brief introduction to LawClerk is that we are a network. We help connect busy attorneys, primarily solos and small firms, but we have attorneys at firms upwards of 500 attorneys still using us too. But we connect busy attorneys with our nationwide network of freelance lawyers that you can hire on demand for project-based work when you need help. It's really affordable in that there's no sign-up fees, no monthly fees. All work is done on a flat fee price per project, and you name your price. So that's the whole idea, the concept of LawClerk in a nutshell. You know, I jokingly call it Uber for lawyers because we're here for you when you need it. There's no fees when you don't, and it's a great way to tap into the help you need when you need it. And so that's the short commercial. Thank you for humoring me there. And without that being said, let's go into our topic today. So, you know, I think
Chris, I'm sorry, Chris, I don't mean to interrupt you. I forgot to mention, if anyone has any questions, because I know this is a topic that where people can, you know, are interested and they have a lot of questions, they can type them into the Q&A or the chat at any time. And if it's appropriate, I'll interrupt Kristin and you know, present your question. If I feel like she's going to answer your question, you know, further into the presentation, then I'll wait. But please don't hesitate to type your questions in. I know she loves, you know, to get questions, and I'll also chime in with a few questions and some anecdotes here and there. But sorry for the interruption. I failed to mention that earlier, but please take it away.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. So the whole goal and focus of the conversation today is growth. And I imagine that you're listening here because you are thinking about ways to grow your firm, whether that means more dollars in the door, more clients in the door, adding to your team. You're thinking about growing in one way or another. And that's a really exciting thing, but it can also be intimidating, and it can take a lot of time to figure out the best way to do that. And so I hope that we can share some ideas with you on smart ways to pursue growth and ways that you can get the help you need to get time-consuming tasks off your plate and delegate them to others. So growth is the whole idea behind the conversation today, and I hope you'll find it insightful. So when I think about law firm growth, you know, I think the traditional ways that lawyers and law firms have grown are through more clients. And obviously, if you bring more clients in the door, you have more legal work to do, and you have to figure out how you're going to get that work done. And we still have that same 24 hours in the day. So of course, when you get more clients, you're also looking at more hours at the office, more billable hours. And, you know, we do have to sleep a little bit and eat and take care of ourselves. So, there gets to a point where you're maxed out on how much you personally can do, and you've got to start finding ways to delegate that to other people. Now, of course, another option, if you're looking to bring more dollars in and grow, is charging a higher hourly rate. And certainly that's something you need to be mindful of, and readjust your rate appropriately to match market rates and be competitive, but still get your value and your worth. But, that's a fine line between, is it too high of a rate to scare away certain clients? Is it not high enough? And so that can be a tricky thing. And I'm personally a huge a huge fan of the flat fee. I do a lot of my work in my practice on a flat fee basis, and I love it because then I don't have to track my hours, and the clients love it. They know exactly what they're paying. But we'll talk about all these things and more. And then Travis, I know you had some notes here too, if you wanted to add in about the marketing and the newbie mistakes.
Yeah, I know that, a lot of people, they tend to, take the advice from marketing coaches and they don't necessarily plan for actually getting the work done. And this is where I think LawClerk has, the most value for anyone, because it's, it seems like a lot of attorneys gravitate towards the marketing area, or at least that side of the practice, but they're usually not the best at it because they don't teach that in law school. They don't teach business in law school. So it's, they want to get all this new business. They want to really grow their practice, but they don't know how to actually get the work done. And then they end up hiring more people than they need, but they can't sustain that level of work. And then they have that overhead. And the next thing you know, it compounds and they have this big problem where they don't have cash flow. They have to let people go. And then in a cycle of constant change. I love your model just because it, really is an answer to a lot of those challenges. They can grow, they can focus on the marketing, they can do project-based work. I agree with you. Flat fee is amazing because people know exactly what to expect and what they're going to get. And it's not that traditional kind of mindset from consumers that, oh gosh, if I hire an attorney, it's just going to be endless billable hours. In order to, fit that same model, your solution fits because it's all flat fee. They know exactly what their margins are going to be or should be at the end of the day. So, and again, the experiences we've had with our members has just been outstanding. So, I think it's, there's a lot of value in what you provide, and it's, I'm glad people are paying attention.
Well, thank you. So I think the overwhelming theme from this slide is that if you're looking at growth, you're looking at more of a lot of different things, and how do you juggle that? So just for a moment, I'm going to climb up on my soapbox here. And if you know me, you've probably heard me say this 100 times, but the fact of the matter is we all only have the same 24 hours in the day. There's only so much we can do as individuals. And if you are a true solo with no help at all in your office yet, or little help, chances are you're wearing a lot of different hats. You're marketing, you're rainmaking, you're running the business, you're going to court, you're meeting with clients. That's a lot to juggle. And at a certain point, when you're ready to go to the next level, you've got to take a deep breath, give up a little bit of that control, and find people to help you along the way. And certainly, I'm a big fan of the freelance lawyer. We're going to talk about that, but there's a lot of resources for a smart attorney to consider. And some of them are going to make more sense for you at certain phases of your growth in your law firm career than others. So I'm going to step off the soapbox now, but the point I'm trying to drive home here is you can't do it all yourself if you want to grow. Okay, so then we move into, well, then how do I start? How do I outsource? This slide could very well also be titled, Why Delegate? So delegate, outsource, all the same concept. But I think that you've got to start thinking about ways to do this if you want to grow your firm, if you want to minimize your own stress, if you want to make more money, and also if you want to tap into expertise of other people, because there's a lot of people out there that can do certain things you're already doing and do them better, which is pretty amazing and can help bring home some great clients, great benefits for your clients. So, another really cool thing is that thanks to technology, it's easier to find a lot of these resources and help you need than ever before in history, which is super exciting. Okay.
Kristin, I think one point it doesn't get focused on enough is the fact that attorneys tend to want to do everything themselves because they think they're the only ones who can do it. And the same thing just happens in the marketing world for us, where attorneys want to manage their own Google AdWords campaigns. But it's like you said today, there's so many resources available to them online. But to me, the first one that we've seen, like LawClerk in the legal space, that actually vets the way that you guys vet, and the quality of work has been exceptional. But again, it's finding someone who has an expertise and then leveraging that is priceless. And I think, again, it's one of the great benefits of platforms like this.
Well, we appreciate that. And I think attorneys do everything themselves. And hopefully today will get your attention, force you to maybe think a little bit differently and consider options to force yourself out of your normal routine of doing everything yourself. And my goal is I hope it helps get you some of the help you need. So, okay, so let's start off with a quick exercise. I know it's not push-ups. Don't worry, I'm not going to say get down on the floor and give me 10, but I'm sure everyone listening to this has a whole long list of to-dos. Mine has, for the first time in a while, exceeded 1 page. I use a legal pad and I write out my list, and I violated my rule. My list is now on 2 sheets of paper. So I have got to go through this today and delegate some things. So think about 3 tasks you've been procrastinating on. And if you have a scratch piece of paper nearby, please write them down. I think writing them down is so key. So I've done this ahead of the presentation. So 3 things that have been lingering on your list that you need help doing. It could be legal work, that could be non-legal work, it could even be things around the house that you need help on, but 3 tasks you've been delaying, okay? So hopefully you've had a minute to write down your 3. I'm gonna go ahead and, in the interest of disclosure, tell you my 3, and we're gonna talk about it later on. So number 1, I have a trust accounting report I need to write for a client. Probably would take me 2 hours if I did it. And do I have resources in my office and elsewhere to help me with that? I do. And I'm going to talk later on about what my game plan is to get that off my to-do list in the next week. I also have a blog post I'm supposed to write for another legal company that we're friends with. And we agreed to write a blog post for each other's company. And I have to write that. So again, I have to figure out if that's my best use of time or someone else on my team, or if maybe I outsource it and hire a ghostwriter to do that for me. Lastly, I need to research an issue on a Hawaii real property issue, which is really fun. I have a client here in Nevada who owns real property in Hawaii that we are trying to figure out the best way to protect that asset and incorporate it into their existing estate plan. So I need to either research this Hawaii issue or find someone there, like a local counsel, to help with on that particular issue. So I've got a couple of tasks related to my law practice and a task related to my startup company. And I've been delaying on them because I've been traveling. It was the holiday. I've got a lot of other fires coming up on the day-to-day basis, so I totally know what you feel like. But think about these tasks that you wrote down. You know, why have you been delaying on those beyond the holiday, maybe travel? Is it that you can't find enough time in your day to do these tasks because you're meeting with clients, you're going to court? You know, do you simply just not want to do them? Is it something that maybe it's a document you've written 100 times and the thought of writing it for the 101st time is, you know, makes you want to poke your eyes out? Like if it's something you've done a gazillion times that you could teach someone else to do, maybe that's a great thing to think about delegating. Or maybe you just simply feel like your time is better spent on other things like rainmaking or researching or whatever. So, you know, kind of think about the why. And if it's something you don't really want to spend your time doing, that's a great task to think about outsourcing and delegating. Again, whether it's to a full-time person in your office or maybe to some sort of a freelancer. So keep these things in mind, keep that piece of paper handy as we move forward. So my argument to you today is that delegation isn't scary. It can be scary the first couple of times, but when you hopefully find someone very qualified and talented to help you with that task, it is a game changer. I love it, love it, love it when we find an attorney on LawClerk who's never had any staff and they hire one of our freelance lawyers to come in and write a motion or prepare a deposition outline or whatever it may be for the first time ever. And they're blown away and they're so excited. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the help I've been needing. I didn't know this existed. And this can happen in a lot of different formats, whether it is an actual in-office staff person or a virtual help. So it isn't scary. So when you think about the 3 things on your lists, make a note next to them. Is there someone currently on your team that could help with them? Yes or no? And if not, if you don't have someone currently on your team, who could you hire to help you with those? Is it a marketing director? Is it a freelance paralegal? Is it a freelance attorney? Is it a virtual receptionist? Let's go through and think about who you could go to delegate and outsource these things to get them off your list. So when you think about a typical law firm, there's a lot of traditional players that can help you get your work done. And I think that these listed roles are great, whether it is an actual human person in your office on a day-to-day basis, full-time or part-time. You can hire an actual live receptionist to sit at the front desk and greet your clients and get them coffee, but you can also hire a virtual receptionist to do a lot of tasks like managing incoming calls, scheduling, returning calls, maybe following up on items you need from clients. There's a lot of tasks you can give to them even if they aren't in your office full time. I hear a lot of attorneys say, I'm terrible at typing. It takes me so long to type a document. Well, there's also a lot of virtual typing companies that you simply get some sort of a voice recording tool, whether it's on your phone or a separate recorder. You old school dictate, talk out what you want to write, and they type it up for you. And there's software that does that too. It's getting much more sophisticated. I use the one on my phone all the time, and it's learned my voice, and it's very effective now. But if typing something you hate and you put off tasks because you don't want to type up a giant motion, keep in mind, you can hire people just to do this. There may even be people in your local town that would do this. Maybe you're getting bogged down with the administrative tasks around the office, getting the bills out, managing staff, ordering more coffee, paying the Secretary of State for the client's fees, whatever it may be. An office manager might be a good solution. And again, you can hire them full-time, part-time. There are some virtual options in that space as well, which is cool. And of course, when it comes to paralegals or attorneys, you can always hire those virtual, full-time, part-time, or in office as well. So there's a lot of different tasks for these people. And one of the things I've also found as I've traveled all over the US the past year and a half meeting with lawyers is a lot of lawyers don't realize the things they could delegate to a paralegal or an attorney. You know, paralegals and associate attorneys are great at drafting up documents you may not otherwise think they're able to do, especially paralegals. And they can really be a big time saver, and especially if you're willing to send an associate attorney to depositions or court or whatever. So look at your list of 3 things to do and maybe jot down, which category of help you would assign this to if you had that resource available. And that's your short list of types of help to explore. And certainly, I hope that Freelance Lawyers is on that list. Okay, so I've mentioned the benefits of in-office compared to virtual help. Let's talk about it, because I think this whole concept of virtual help or remote help is really not that new, because think about it this way. Attorneys have worked with contract lawyers on a freelance basis for years. We call them contract lawyers. That's a more traditional, a lawyer in your town who does some brief writing for other lawyers, and you call them from time to time when you need help, and that's great. But maybe that person's retired, or they aren't really doing it anymore, or they just aren't available for the case when you need it. Well, thanks to online resources like LawClerk, we have a lot more freelancers always available. And so the ability to go to a virtual resource is a lot more accessible. So the point I'm trying to make there is, number one, that this whole concept of working with a virtual attorney is really not new when you think about the fact that contract attorneys have been around for decades. But the cool thing is that working with a so-called virtual attorney, virtual associate, freelance lawyer, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. It's really becoming much more mainstream. And we hope to continue to bring it to the forefront of the practice of law on an ongoing basis. But of course, there's pros and cons with everything. So let's go through those briefly. When you're looking at an in-office hire, like a full-time associate attorney in your office, what are some of the pros? Of course, it's nice to have someone that's available to meet with clients or go to court. You can send them to actually do those tasks that require a barred attorney in that jurisdiction who's physically present to take on the work, and that's great. And if that's a big need for you, that's awesome. It's always nice to have a coffee buddy around, someone to talk about cases, brainstorm, and just be there as a resource. That's definitely great as well. Cons, it definitely is going to drive up your overhead. And depending on where you're at with your practice, maybe you're willing to take that on or not. But you've got to think about things like the cost of office space, insurance, bar dues, computer, Westlaw subscriptions, the list goes on and on. And so it's not just the cost of their salary, which, oh, by the way, you pay them that salary even when you're slow, even when your receivables are down for the month. That's an ongoing expense far beyond the cost of the salary. So be mindful of that. I've talked to so many attorneys across the country who also point to the fact that the in-office everyday associate can kind of, for lack of a better word, have a lot of drama, and they have things going on, or they don't show up for unusual reasons, or whatever it may be. And a lot of that also leads to high turnover. And the fact of the matter is, I talk to a lot of attorneys that say, yeah, my associate leaves me about every 1.5 years, 2 years, then I have to train someone new. And all too often that former associate then becomes a competitor in the market, and you risk training someone who's then going to leave you and become your competitor. So those are some of the pros and cons when you look at a traditional in-office hire of an associate attorney. Now, compared with that, the virtual option of a freelance lawyer, number one, you only pay them when you need help. And whether you pay them hourly or a flat fee, that's a nice feature, that you're only paying for them at the times you're actually busy and you need help. So that's a big pro. Number two, with a freelancer, you may actually be able to tap into years of experience that they already have without you having to train them. And that's certainly invaluable on certain types of cases. I mean, a lot of the freelancers I've met have been practicing 10 or more years. And to get that 10 years of experience under their belt, it's just a game changer. When you go to hire someone to write a brief, I personally would rather have a 15-year experience freelance lawyer write that brief for me than a first-year associate attorney fresh out of school who's never written that sort of sophisticated, compelling argument that I want in my briefs that are going out. So, and last but not least, you can also find freelancers with really interesting subject matter expertise. I have examples on that, but most recently we had an attorney that needed to hire someone with aviation law experience in Texas. And I was a little concerned if we were going to be able to fill that need or not, but we were. And they found a great aviation lawyer with, I think, upwards of 20 years of experience to come in and consult on this issue. So you can also find people that can really drill into specifics when needed. Now, there's cons to everything, of course. Number one, it's intimidating to try. It's weird, it's different. It is becoming more mainstream, but it's something I want you to think about, and we're going to talk about it some more today. So with that being said, Travis, unless you have anything to add on that, then we'll dive into some of the benefits of freelance lawyers.
Well, no, I think as one of the pros is also it forces people to somewhat document their process, because they have to provide some guidance to, the person doing the work. And, we're big advocates of, documenting like standard operating procedures, right? So it's attorneys that are, notorious for just keeping everything in their head, but the more they get on paper and the more that they spell things out for people, the easier it is for them to hire people. So they do it once, and again, it's easy to to repeat that process. So I think there's way more pros. If the cons are the intimidation factor, I think attorneys can get over the intimidation factor personally.
Well, I sure hope so. That's for sure. So, okay, benefits of freelance lawyers. So we've talked a lot about all sorts of different categories of help you can get, everything from an office manager to a receptionist to an actual attorney. The rest of the presentation is really geared just at attorney help. So freelance lawyers, I may at times call them a virtual associate, contract lawyer, it all means the same thing. So we're going to focus on the benefits of freelance lawyers, and keep in mind this could be your local small town contract lawyer that you call up when you need help. This could be appearance counsel that you hire to go to court hearings for you when you're bogged down and you can't spend days upon days in court at routine hearings. And then last but not least, of course, it means the virtual associate, which is largely our model here at LawClerk. And we'll talk about that. So first benefit of working with freelance lawyers is making more money. Outsourcing can definitely improve your bottom line by leveraging excess legal capacity and talent. And right now, there's certainly an overabundance of graduating lawyers, and the big law up or out system is creating thousands of talented and available lawyers with specialized knowledge. You can take advantage of this and get the skilled help you need at reasonable rates through freelancers. I was talking recently with one of our newer users. He started using us about 6 months ago, and he told us about some very specific ways how working with freelancers is helping him make more money. The attorney lives in the DC area. He started working with us about 6 months ago. And 1 month after he started working with us, he actually fired his associate. He called to tell me about it. And I was kind of like, whoa, my gosh, I can't believe you did that. So he fired his associate. And instead of rehiring that associate, he's now working with a variety of freelancers through our site, also appearance counsel, and a couple of other key hires that he has in his office, case manager primarily. And not only did he fire that associate, start working with freelancers, he now rents out the office space that he previously used for that associate to a different attorney in town. So he's making money off the physical office space that was empty after the associate parted ways. So I thought that was super interesting that he's come up with a system of that. And he told me about one of the freelance lawyers he's working with who's a stay-at-home mom in Florida. She was a 10-year attorney with a big law firm, burned out, is now at home with her kids, and he hires her on a case-by-case basis to come in and basically review the file and come up with a discovery plan. She issues spots for issues he needs to go after in discovery, evidence he needs to try to get to boost his case. And rather than paying someone full-time to sit in that office and take up office space and do that work when it's needed, he's using freelancers instead. And he said it's really increasing his bottom line. He told me he had one of his best months ever last month. So definitely working with freelancers can make you more money. Number two, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but expertise. With outsourcing, you can meet your clients' needs by selecting skilled freelance lawyers who have subject matter legal expertise in other areas of law that maybe you need help with. And my favorite example of this was from one of our earliest users, a really high-profile constitutional law criminal defense attorney. And he contacted us. He said, I need some help from someone to research and write a part of a writ to the US Supreme Court. And we were kind of like, whoa. And so the writ, the issue that he needed help with was dealing with stare decisis. Now, when is the last time you heard that issue? I know for me, it was in law school because I'm an estate planner and I have not heard the words stare decisis in a long time. But thankfully, he was able through our site to find a freelance attorney, I forget with how many years experience, about 10, out of the Seattle, Washington area, who had actually written a number of law review journal articles on this particular issue of stare decisis, was probably as close to being a national expert on this issue as you can find. He hired the guy. This guy came in, researched the issue in relation to the facts of the case, briefed just that part of the writ, and the attorney reviewed it, used it in the writ, filed it, and he said that this freelancer actually brought up issues and angles to consider that his team, who's been practicing together for more than 30 years, hadn't even thought of. So you can really find talented freelancers to come in and do work for you, like research and writing, from any jurisdiction because they're doing it under your review and supervision. So benefit number two, expertise. Benefit number three is flexibility. And really what I mean by this is flexible staffing. And so the great thing about working with freelancers, as we've mentioned before, is that you can use them when you need them and you don't have to when you don't. It's a lot more flexible if you're trying to manage your overhead and scale and grow, take more dollars home at the end of the day. You can use a qualified team of freelancers just when you need them. And the really cool thing, like I think I kind of alluded to this earlier, but you can find particular freelancers who have skills or expertise in different areas and kind of build your own virtual firm of virtual associates with all different types of skill sets that you could tap into. So whether you need maybe some weeks you need more help with family law issues, other weeks you need more help on a DUI case, other weeks you need help drafting an appellate brief with this, bizarre evidentiary issue. So you can tap into different people at different times. And really, unless you have found the magical unicorn, I don't think there are many single associates out there who could do that wide of a variety of tasks and do them well on a regular basis. And so you're going to have a much wider, deeper bench of people to draw from when you need them. And you can be very flexible with that staffing option, which is so exciting, I think, for a lot of attorneys.
And I think more of some of the feedback we've gotten from the people who have used your services, this has helped them expand their practice in many ways and not take on that overhead, which you've talked about. But, just from personal experience, personal feedback that I've gotten from our members, it's just, the people who were struggling to do just what you found. They'd hire an associate and they'd be an expert in family law, but maybe they do Social Security, disability, and DUI as well. They struggled to provide the quality of service that they really wanted to provide their clients without accepting the fact that they were going to have to hire someone else. And that flexibility is amazing. And the ability to keep your quality of your work output that high is just, so many pros here. That it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. If outsourcing is scary to you, my guess is that hiring someone full-time is even more scary. So a lot less commitment with the flexibility of using freelancers on demand when you need them. Benefit number 4, bye-bye billable hour. So if you're trying to incorporate more minimum fees, alternative fees, flat fees into your business, certainly using freelancers and negotiating to work with them on flat fee rates is going to allow you to build more of those alternative fee agreements into your practice. You know, our model is built entirely on flat fee work, and that gives the hiring attorney peace of mind to know exactly what they're spending and not have the worry of the traditional contract lawyer of like, well, I don't know if this person's going to work 8 hours or 18 hours. There's no worry about the variance in hours. It's just done on a flat fee, which gives you a lot of control if you're feeling nervous about how expensive this could be. Number 5, this leads into the fact that if you're able to keep your own costs lower, your overhead, and that's going to make you more competitive when it comes to setting your hourly rates, setting your flat fees on the market. And that's a huge competitive advantage if you are trying to make yourself stand out. You know, if you have a client, potential client who's met with 2 other attorneys who work on the traditional billable hour, and they come into you and you say, well, you know, actually, I'm willing to do this piece of work on a flat fee, chances are you're going to be the much more attractive candidate to gain that piece of work and that client. And this type of model of using freelancers, paying them on a flat fee is going to feed into that business model and make it succeed. And last but not least, it probably goes without saying, but certainly delegating and outsourcing to freelancers or even a full-time hire in the office is going to help you breathe a little bit easier. If you're trying to find a little bit more of the so-called work-life balance in your life, and I do kind of hate that term, but we'll use it because I don't know what else to replace it with yet. I'm trying to come up with a new term for this phrase, but I think work-life balance with a lawyer is laughable. It's never going to be 50-50. Yes, you're going to have times when your work is 90% and your home life is 10% and vice versa. But if you're striving to get it closer to 50-50 or whatever percentage is your goal in life, delegating and getting work off of your plate is a great way to start. And if you're nervous about the best way to do that, the flexibility of freelancers has got to be an appealing option. So real quick, I don't want to make this an ethics seminar, but definitely one of the biggest categories of questions we get on a regular basis is, well, is this ethical? What are the ethics rules around outsourcing to freelancers? And so if you're really interested in this topic, if you go to our website, lawclerk.legal, we have a 105-page white paper on this topic. It goes through the ABA model rules pertaining to the relevant ethics rules, and then it also does a 50-state survey, state by state, of any nuances particular to your state. So if you're curious about this and you want to do a deep dive, go download our white paper. A lot of resources there for you to go into. But right now for today, I'm going to go into kind of the key model rules and how they apply to this. So, of course, the baseline rule when it comes to ethics and outsourcing is Model Rule 1.6, which is confidentiality. We all know what that rule says. But really, the ABA Ethics Committee has issued 2 opinions that are helpful in terms of freelancers. So, the first one, opinion 88-356, is helpful in that it gives advice regarding a lawyer's ethical use of freelance lawyers. It says that when a lawyer or law firm hires a temporary lawyer, it gives advice on how to manage confidentiality and when to disclose the role of the temporary lawyer to the client in certain circumstances. So the ABA later on expanded that opinion with 08-451. And that adopted much of the earlier opinion from 88 into the digital age, or at least the digital age as it existed in 2008. In brief, these opinions, these 2 opinions combined, say that the outsourcing firm does not necessarily need to obtain client consent, even explicitly in the engagement letter, for closely managed freelance attorneys over whom the firm exercises a high degree of supervision and control. However, to the extent that the freelance attorney is either operating with a high degree of independence or even engaging in the practice of law directly on the client's behalf, then the firm must obtain the client's consent. So the best way to cover yourself here is if you're potentially going to be hiring freelancers who will, yes, maybe perhaps be engaging in the practice of law, like appearance counsel, but maybe you also want to have some freelance lawyers working in the background under your supervision, is just to include a simple paragraph in your engagement letter moving forward. And we do have some sample language for that on our blog if you want to pull that and use it in your engagement agreement. But I guess the baseline here is if the freelancer is working under your close supervision and control, not engaging in the practice of law, you don't have to disclose. If the freelancer is working highly independently or actually engaging in the practice of law on the client's behalf, then you must disclose that to the client. Okay, so that's 1.6. Related to this is, of course, UPL, the unauthorized practice of law, and we get a lot of questions on this. The model rule on this topic is 5.5, and this prohibits non-lawyers or lawyers not properly licensed in a jurisdiction from providing legal services absent the supervision of a properly licensed attorney. So hiring attorneys who wish to have freelance lawyers deliver legal services directly to their clients need to make sure that the freelance lawyer is licensed to deliver those services in the state of the client's legal issue. So if you're hiring a freelance lawyer to go to court or take a deposition, they've got to be licensed in that state, okay? The big factor is determine whether or not the work you want them to do causes the lawyer to engage in the practice of law or not. So by contrast, if you need someone to come in and research an issue and draft a brief that you will then closely review, edit, finalize, and submit to the court, that does not engage that freelance lawyer in the practice of law. And that opens up the door so that you could go hire an expert on a particular issue from another jurisdiction to come in and help you with that research and writing, because you're still going to be the primary attorney closely reviewing, monitoring, and finalizing the work. So there's a lot of work that you can outsource that doesn't cause a freelance lawyer to engage in the practice of law. And that's the whole model of LawClerk, is we are for that type of work: research, writing, helping manage discovery, all under the hiring attorney's close supervision. We find that the attorneys we work with don't want to give up the things like going to court, taking depositions, managing the client relationship. They want to do those higher level tasks because that's really what the client is hiring them for, and they want to outsource the rest, the time-consuming tasks related to research and writing. The last big ethics rule to cover deals with the duty of supervision, and there's two rules, 5.1 and 5.3. These impose a duty for lawyers with direct supervisory authority over other lawyers, including freelance lawyers, to make reasonable efforts to ensure that the other lawyer conforms to the rules of professional conduct, and that the freelance lawyer's conduct is compatible with the professional obligations of the lawyer. So the takeaway here is this: just because you hire a freelance lawyer to do some writing, research an issue, whatever it may be, you need to stay on top of that. You can't check out. You need to stay in communication with the freelance lawyer, supervise their work, and ensure that you are responsible for the ultimate work presented to the court or to your client. So you can't set it and forget it. You've got to maintain that duty of supervision, even if it is a freelance lawyer. Okay, so you've made it through the three kind of gritty ethics rules. This to me is the most exciting part of the ethics rules. The thing that a lot of lawyers don't realize is that it is completely in line with the ethics rules for lawyers to make money by outsourcing work to freelance lawyers. So can you make money? Yes. And the big couple of things to look at here are Model Rule 1.5 and the ABA Opinion 00-420. So if at all you've gotten a little distracted in this presentation, I hope you will chime in now, because this is how you make money, which is so exciting. You get work done and you make money. The ethics rules, ethics opinions, and case law all overwhelmingly say that you can charge reasonable market rates for work performed by freelance lawyers. The key here is a reasonable market rate. So in that ABA Opinion 00-420, the ABA Standing Committee on Ethics and Professional Responsibility agreed with the U.S. Supreme Court that attorneys may bill the services of contract lawyers or freelance lawyers to their clients at prevailing market rates, as long as the rates satisfy Rule 1.5's reasonableness requirement. This means that solo attorneys or small firms can outsource to freelance lawyers and leverage those freelance lawyers to bring additional money into their law firms, the same way that big law has made fortunes off of its, hundreds and hundreds of associates for decades. So it's the same model as big law for small law, which to me is a huge game changer and a big relief, so that if you've been, busting it to work on these hours, do all this work yourself for years or decades, you now can tap into freelance lawyers and do this, and that's so exciting. So let's look at a quick example. Do a little math. Don't be scared of the math here. This is good math. Okay. So let's say you hire a freelancer to draft a motion for summary judgment, and you agree to pay that freelancer a fee of $1,000. And they come back to you and they say it took 8.5 hours for them to draft that motion for summary judgment. You determine under, your local market that a reasonable rate to bill that freelancer to your client would be $200 an hour. And that might be low. If you're on one of the coasts, you're laughing at me right now being like $200 an hour, but just roll with it, okay? So 8.5 hours times $200 an hour means that you would bill your client $1,700. So keep in mind, you paid $1,000 to the freelancer to do that work, which means that you're profiting to your firm an additional $700. Keep in mind, you're still going to have your own time you're going to be billing for your review and editing of that document, which might be a few additional hours. So you're not losing out on that billing opportunity. What you're doing is you're taking that motion for summary judgment off of your to-do list, freeing up, if this took them 8.5 hours to write, it's likely freeing up an entire day of your time to go either meet with new clients, generate more work for the firm, go handle matters at court, or whatever else you may want to do. It just freed up a day of your time to conquer other tasks while a freelancer does the heavy lifting of doing the drafting of this motion for summary judgment. So that's super exciting to me, and I love that math. Okay, so we've gotten through the ethics rules. We've talked about all the different ways that you can get help for your law firm if you're looking to grow and scale. Now let's talk about some tips for success, because I really hope that some of you listening today will give outsourcing and delegation a try. Certainly, even if not with us, with whatever resource makes the most sense for you on those 3 items you wrote down on your to-do list. This might be a good time to look at those again and be like, okay, she's starting to convince me. I think I'm going to hire a virtual typist, or I'm going to call my local contract lawyer, or maybe I'm even going to go visit LawClerk and sign up and try to get someone to write this brief that I've been dreading writing. And so if you're ready to take that plunge, let's talk about a few tips to hopefully set you up for success when you're delegating and outsourcing. And here we go. So tip number 1 is you got to let it go. A lot of times we can be our own worst enemies. We get in our heads, we get caught up in thinking, wait, no, I can't delegate this. I'm the only one that could ever possibly do this the best way. And certainly that's true for me. That trust accounting that's on my list, I've been thinking for weeks, oh, I can't have my paralegal write it right. I don't know if I can give it to freelance lawyer because I'm the only one that can write that. And that's simply not true. I have the accounting report, and I have an example from the prior year's report that I could give to someone either on my team or through LawClerk to get this drafted and get it written. And so I'm going to take it upon myself today to delegate that to one of those options and get that piece of work done. So try to get out of your own head. Remember that you are not the only person in the entirety of this world that can do that piece of work. And it's in your best interest for the long term to find other people to help you. So after you've let go and you've decided, okay, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to hire this freelancer, I'm going to get this help, my next suggestion is number 2, plan ahead. The best way to ensure success with the freelancer is not to hire them at the 11th hour. You want to be prepared, get them started with plenty of time ahead of your actual deadline so that the freelancer has plenty of time to do their best work possible. Because certainly if you put them in the position of having to do a rush job for you, chances are it may not come back exactly as you had hoped. So plan ahead, give them a lot of time, and resist that urge to try anything on a rush job, especially if this is your first time working with someone new. Now, certainly later on, if you've done a few projects with this person, gotten to know each other, you've developed some rapport, learned each other's working style, if later on you find yourself in a rush situation and you need to go to them and say, hey, I hate to do this, but I really need this back in like 2 or 3 days, can you do it? You're going to have a better chance then of getting good work. But for the first couple of times, please plan ahead and don't try to do anything on a big time crunch. Okay. Another tip is, of course, to make sure you find a talented freelancer. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of great resources out there. Yes, you may know great contract lawyers through your local bar organizations, specialty bar organizations if you have a really specific practice area, or, a lot of people go to sites like ours, LawClerk, and we provide a lot of great data to help you find a really talented freelancer. The data points we give you, so when you post work and then people apply to it, you get to look at their resume, you get to look at a writing sample, and most importantly, we offer really robust reviews of their prior work on the site. So you'll be able to see that maybe, this freelancer has completed 37 projects with us, and our rating scale is either exceeded expectations, met expectations, or did not meet. Our last quarter's data showed that over 98.2% of the ratings were met or exceeded. Our goal is met. We want you to get a met rating, but we love it when we see that our freelancers are exceeding expectations and doing their best work possible. And really, that's one of the ways that we help hold our people accountable to want to do good work for you each and every single time they complete a project, is they know they're going to get rated, and they know if they get even one bad rating on the site, it kind of sinks their ship, and it's really hard for them to get more work in the future. So use the best data you can find to find the right talented freelancer for your job. So once you find them, I'm a big proponent to limit the role of a freelancer. And by that, we talked about this earlier, but I really like to limit the freelancer to only do work that is done in the background under my direct supervision. So that means things like research projects, any sort of written document, be it a demand letter, a complaint, a motion, an appellate brief, a settlement agreement, an employment agreement, transactional documents. And then also helping with discovery. If you just got slammed in a case and your opposing counsel gave you 14,000 pages of documents that need to be reviewed and sorted, that's a great thing to delegate to a freelancer and say, hey, I need you to find all the documents from this bank, or I need you to go through this, find all the documents from this doctor, or hey, I really need you to organize these chronologically. Whatever it may be, helping manage discovery can be a huge time saver, and we've seen a lot of great ways. But limiting their role to that background work they do under your supervision, just like you would if you hired the kind of traditional so-called law clerk that's a law student, is a great way for you to stay in control, oversee their work, and still be the quarterback of your case, which is why the client hired you in the first place. And I do want to specify one thing quick. I mentioned, the traditional law clerk who's still a law student. All of our freelancers are licensed attorneys. They're out of school. They are licensed attorneys in good standing. That's another common question we get. So, number 5, once you've planned ahead, you've set a far out deadline, you've limited their role, then make sure you invest the time at the onset of the project to set clear expectations. To the best of my knowledge, most attorneys that I've met still are not mind readers. I think a lot of our clients wish that we were, but we're not. So if you can take 15 or 20 minutes at the onset of the project to either set clear expectations for what you expect to get back, either in writing or a combination of in writing, an email instruction along with a phone call, that's great. And so do everything you can to set up the freelancer for success, because it's going to help you succeed as well. And investing maybe 15, 20 minutes at the onset to give them the instructions they need to perform. Then they go do the work for several hours, and you plan to review and revise it at the end. That's great. I think managing your own expectations is also important, in that every once in a while I meet an attorney who says, well, I still had to review this brief and I spent 2 hours editing it before I filed. And I said, well, that sounds like a win to me. Don't expect to get work product back from a freelance lawyer or a contract lawyer that's 100% ready to go. If you can get that work back 75 to 80% of the way done, that's a home run. You should still expect to spend a really a good chunk of time to still review and edit, make it your own, add those additional facts that maybe only you know about the case. And if we can get work product back to you about 80% of the way done, that's a win. And certainly anything beyond that is awesome. We love when that happens. But you've got to set the clear expectations for the freelancer about the kind of work you want, and also manage your own expectations along the way as well. And last but not least, here's your pep talk. If you haven't delegated, you haven't tried outsourcing of any kind yet, just do it. I think you'll be glad that you took the plunge. You will feel relieved to finally have some extra help to free up your time to do other things. And you'll probably want to try it again. So really, please give it a shot. We're certainly here for you if you have questions. Start with something small. Maybe it's a simple research memo. Maybe you have your law firm website and you haven't posted a new blog on it for many months, you could go hire a freelancer to write a whole bunch of blogs for you so that then you've got fresh content to go out and market and attract new clients. So pick something small and give it a try. I have every confidence you can do this. So
Kristin, we have one of my people I often use as an example is Travis Christensen, and he actually is on the webinar today, and he chimed in and says, I've used LawClerk, not legal, for 5 projects and had great results. So, it's straight from one of the people that I've often referred to as the person who uses them, and Travis was hesitant at the beginning, and he's one of the guys that came to the conference and signed up to you guys there, and he was not open to it at first, but now he's using you guys all the time. And like you said, it's words from his mouth. He's had great results. So it's always good to get some feedback directly from your clients. But
that's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, I recognize his name. That's really great. Yeah. Thank you, Travis. I appreciate that. So happy to answer any other questions that anyone may have. And again, go back to those 3 things you wrote down at the very start of the program and write down your action plan. And before you go back into the emails or take a phone call, take action on at least one of those. Get some help, delegate it, and you'll be so glad you did. I would love for you
have a rebate code there. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I was going to invite everyone to connect with us. We're on all the different social media platforms. We've also got a really fun Instagram account that's not on there, but if you're on Instagram, we have our little shark mascot, and he is at Shark on the Run. We have a lot of fun with at Shark on the Run. So, connect with us on whatever social platform you like. And when you're ready, sign up for your account. There's no sign up fees or no monthly fees. So if you're curious, go ahead, just register for your account with LawClerk.legal today. That way you'll be ready to go when you have your next project you want to delegate to a freelancer. And when you post that project, use rebate code AEA711. It's today's date. So AEA711. And what we'll do is when you complete that project, so you get the work done and you're happy with it, we are going to send you a $50 Amazon gift card. Okay, so $50 to Amazon for some new books or office supplies or dog toys, whatever you need. So it's $50 Amazon gift card when you complete a project of $250 or more. And there's no expiration date on that. So check it out. We're here for you. We're happy to answer any questions. Hold your hand through your first project. And we really appreciate you taking the time today, your valuable time, to be with us and learn some more about outsourcing.
And that's amazing. Great offer. Thank you. That's very, very generous. So hopefully people take advantage of that. But I just want a couple quick questions. If someone is having trouble, but which I can't see how they could with the site, is there someone live they could reach out to? I assume.
There is. Yeah, we've got a great team. We're based here in Las Vegas. All of our people are US based. We've got about 4 people on our support team. If you call in, they're happy to answer the phone. If you prefer email, support@lawclerk.legal. Really prompt with getting responses back. And then once you sign up, create your account with LawClerk, we actually have a success team. They're going to be kind of like your cheerleader along the way to help you get through your first couple of projects and answer questions too. So we've got a lot of folks here that would love to do nothing more than jump on the phone with you, or even if you want a web demo to see how it works, if you need that visual idea of how you would work it through, we can do a web demo of you at the actual site. But I didn't want to do that today. I wanted to talk about more high level, workflow, ideas for growth, and getting the help you need to grow and hit your goals.
Yeah, and I want to make sure people understand that all of that's you don't charge for. I mean, okay. I want to make that very, very clear, because that is unheard of in this type of platform. If we use other platforms for other, different technical expertise, and getting someone live on the phone, well, forget it. It's never going to happen. And if you even did, I mean, it's so unaffordable. It's crazy. So that's a huge benefit, I think, for attorneys who often are not as tech savvy as other folks, or may, be, like you said, intimidated by the software or the platform. But again, you have folks there to answer the phone live. They're not, overseas. They're right in the United States. I think, there's just so many benefits to using it. It's almost a no-brainer, in my opinion. But
well, that's what we think, but we're a little biased. So yeah, no subscription fees. Pay for it only when you use it at the flat fee price you set. And it's a great way for you to get more work done and generate more revenue for your law firm. So that's a win-win-win.
Well, Kristin, you must have done a very, and you did do a good job of answering everyone's questions through your presentations. We only had one comment, and that was from Travis. So thank you so much for your time today. And we're going to hang on here just for a minute or two, but if anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and type them in the Q&A or the chat, and we will get to them right away. But if there's anything else you want to add, Kristin, is there, obviously your site's lawclerk.legal. If they want to reach out, is there a number that on the site that they can reach out to? I'm sure it's all there.
It is on the site. And again, support at lawclerk.legal is a great way to get in touch with us too. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. I know how busy you are. It sounds like your list is getting larger, so hopefully you can get some of those things off your list today or through the end of the week and, free up some time.
Yes, this remotivated me to practice what I preach and go tap some people on my team. And I think I'm going to post at least one of these as a research project. I think that Hawaii research project, I'm going to put that on LawClerk. And I know we've got a couple of really great freelancers out of Hawaii that can help me out with that. So I'm going to go post that right now.
Awesome. Well, it doesn't look like we have any follow-ups. So again, thank you for your time. And we want to thank everyone who joined us today. And those are going to join us on the recording later. If you have any questions, again, reach out to Kristin's support at lawclerk.legal, or not Kristin, but the team, or you can go to lawclerk.legal and call them from the phone number on the site, or you can find more information in the AEA platform as well. So again, we appreciate your time and everyone who joined us. So